Hi, I'm Chelsea. I facilitate the ladies only young adult group. We meet on Thursday nights via Zoom, and I'm here to highlight a few points about Hebrews 11. So I thought what better verse to start with for me was verse 1. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. You see, the faith described here is the most solid possible conviction of a God-given assurance of a future reality. So I'm going to say that back again because that definition, you got to kind of process it. At least for me, I had to. And I want to say that the faith described here is the most solid possible conviction of a God-given present assurance of a future reality. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. So faith in itself is tangible reality. That what you don't see, it is a confirmation of what's to come. Faith is something you can hold. It's a reality. That's what I really like. I like verse number 1. It stood out to me. I mean, so many more, like Abel. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith. I'm thinking about, man, what kind of example of faith am I leaving? Will it still speak after I'm long and gone? That kind of faith, only God can give it. The faith this author goes on to describe, it's not a vague hope grounded in imaginary wishful thinking. No, it's not even a strong hope of what our culture calls today a leap of faith. No, biblical faith is a rested, settled confidence that something in the future that hasn't been seen yet, but has been promised by God, will come to pass. Why? Because God will bring it about. So God promised it, then it'll be God that'll be the one that'll bring it through. Biblical faith is not a stab in the dark in the face of contrary evidence. Biblical faith, again, is a confident trust in the eternal God who is all-powerful and eternally trustworthy. It's full reliance on the one who is faithful to his word, his promise, and to his son, Jesus Christ. You see, in this chapter, the author lists certain Old Testament patriarchs who were known to have pleased God. They pleased God in their faith by believing in his existence as being the one and only true God. And they pleased God in their faith of believing in God's trustworthiness. The Old Testament saints in this chapter and throughout the Bible, they looked forward to a promised salvation. Whereas the faith of us now, we look back to a fulfillment of that promise. Both groups are characterized by genuine faith and are saved by Jesus Christ's atoning work on Calvary's cross. They took God at his word. Simple as that. The thing I like the most about Hebrews chapter 11 is that God promises. He promises these promises, and you can rest assured in it. You can stand on it. You can bank on it happening because he's faithful enough that he's going to see it through. So I didn't give myself this promise. God gave it to me. And since he gives it to me, he's going to bring it to pass. And I can stand on that faithfulness because of the Old Testament patriarchs. Because he did it for them. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to jump through hoops. They didn't have to do. God gave the promise to Abraham. God gave these promises to Sarah. God did it to Moses, to us. He gave us the promise of his son, and he was faithful enough to bring it through. So having said that, my question to you is this: do you really have faith? And if so, my prayer for you is that you maintain it and that it grows stronger. I would pray for myself, and that would be my prayer. The one I wrote down, I want to pray that my faith maintains, that I can stand on it, that I could persevere in faith and endure in it, that no matter what it looks like, that I don't revert back, or I don't, that I can just stay the course in that faith, that I can maintain it. And just like Abraham, it only grows. Cause he never saw it, but he seen it. And and you would think I never did it. I never got a chance to saw it. You would get discouraged. But he held on to it. And the Bible said he only grew stronger in that faith. I've grown in my understanding of Jesus being our high priest. That understanding, that awareness of him being my high priest, of him doing it all, paying it all for me. Honestly, it gives me a freedom to not to add to it by works. I can rest in his finished product, in his finished work. So I don't have to walk in guilt and shame of not being enough. Jesus was enough. Jesus paid it all. And the fact that he's my high priest, he can relate to what I relate to. That gives me comfort. I grew in that understanding. And now I get to stand and grow and stand in areas of faith where, man, if God promised it to me, then I'm good. I know God will bring it to pass. I'm good. Enjoy Hebrews chapter 11.